Half a year may have passed, but the situation in the northern demon country was still as tense as ever. In the same vein, it had been half a year since the two armies had been stationed at the borders of the country's imperial capital. Yet there was still no sign of action or retreat from either of them. At this moment, Gavin Owens, Samuel Blake, and the others were wandering around the campsite, listless. They appeared to be on edge, unconsciously clenching their fists together, as if praying and muttering to themselves.
Why hasn't there been any news for such a long time? I have already sent someone to inquire about it in advance, but why is there no news at all?
This is not normal. This is not normal at all.
Gavin Owens and the others had long anticipated that the Dragon Envoy of Carlton's selection would end in a couple of days. Hence, they had long since sent people to the Star Kingdom to inquire about any information. However, after such a long time, there was still no news coming back. The final direction of this epic battle hinged on whether Zane Martell could become the Dragon Envoy of Carlton or not. If Leonard Hunter succeeded in being selected as the envoy at the expense of Zane Martell's failure, the old royal family would be put on the path toward destruction. However, if the result was the opposite, the one who would be wiped out would be the pseudo-royal family.
Samuel Blake, Old Wolf, don't be so uptight. Don't tell me you have no faith in Zane Martell's talent. Maybe the messenger encountered something on the way and got held up on the way back.
I hope so.
A deep crease emerged between Gavin Owens' brows. He had a bad premonition, as if woe was going to betide. Outside the military camp, the war drums sounded in the sky, preceding the assembled horn sounds. Why is the pseudo-royal family blowing the horn at this time? This is uncanny, to say the least. Let's go and check it out. The three generals hurriedly walked out of the camp and arrived at the border of the two armies. Aside from them, some other generals in the army had also made it here after hearing the commotion. Beyond the border stood a group of demon god sect elders and the golden-winged rock pseudo-royal family, with Benjamin on the front line. Gavin Owens and the others suddenly looked much more serious.
Orion Slade, what do you mean by this? Do you intend to start the fight with us?
If you want to fight, then bring it on. Over our dead bodies will we cower. The tag double-faced bastard must have been tailor-made for you.
Liam Bork did not hold back. However, Orion Slade did not show any sign of anger. On the contrary, his face was glowing from the inside out, and the corners of his mouth were slightly raised as he chuckled.
I'm not here to fight with you today, but oof, am I here bearing a huge piece of bad news? Now I want you to listen closely lest you black out in fuming anger before I could even finish the sentence.
The ghost of a smile played on Orion Slade's lips as he stood with his hands clasped behind his back, like a king looking down on the world. His aura of nobility spoke for itself. The faces of the three generals of the old royal family suddenly fell, and they faintly sensed something horrendous.
Bad news? Could it be?
Lieutenant, come closer. Tell them everything news that you have obtained in the Sky Kingdom without missing a single word.
Orion Slade ordered a 30 or 40-year-old lieutenant beside him.
Yes, sir.
The lieutenant cupped his hands and nodded. He walked to the front of the crowd, looked at the three people with disdain, and said coldly,
10 days ago, I arrived at the Star Kingdom, standing by for the news of the Dragon Envoy of Carlton's selection. And guess what? Guess what I heard? That's right. Our young master, Leonard Hunter, has been selected as the Dragon Envoy of Carlton. Huh. How do you like it? The very Dragon Envoy of Carlton.
As soon as the lieutenant finished speaking, the members of the demon god sect and the pseudo-royal family burst into unbridled laughter.
Praise the dragon. Thank the heavens.
My son didn't let me down. With his talent, it's not a problem for him to have made it into the Xora Genius list.
Putting him on a smooth track to becoming the Dragon Envoy of Carlton. He's worthy of being my son.
Gavin Owens, Liam Bork, Samuel Blake, did you hear that? Right now, we are the men of the Dragon Envoy of Carlton.
When he said this, Orion Slade deliberately paused for effect, letting the chilliness of his voice sink in. Gavin Owens and the other generals wouldn't have been as astounded if they had been struck by thunder.
Leonard Hunter is now the Dragon Envoy of Carlton.
It's over. Everything is over.
All of a sudden, everyone's faces turned pale in severe shock masked by disbelief. Orion Slade couldn't be more thrilled, savoring the dumbfounded expressions of the old royal family members. He had been waiting to humiliate these people and see their shocked expressions. Sure enough, their expression hit the spot for him, greasing his ego. The mood of the old royal family and others could only be described as gutted. In their eyes, what the Dragon Envoy of Carlton represented was not so much his own realm and strength and power. Behind the Dragon Envoy of Carlton was the Carlton Dragon Palace, which dominated the entire Mystic Continent. No empire in the Zora Mountains dared to look down on the palace. With nothing more than a word and eye gesture, the Dragon Envoy of Carlton would be able to mobilize the troops of the other empires in the Zora Mountains and flatten the entire northern demon country. With the current military strength of Gavin Owens and the others, it would be difficult for them to even fight against a single demon god sect and a pseudo-royal family. If the other empires marshaled their troops, God only knows what may befall them. After hearing the news, a vice general lost all strength and flopped down on the ground.
How did this happen? Did Leonard Hunter really become the Dragon Envoy of Carlton?
Where in the world is Zane Martell? Why is there no news of him at all? Everyone shouted in their hearts. They really hoped that the news was fake, a faux pas. Seeing such an interesting expression on everyone's faces, Orion Slade slightly tugged the corners of his mouth and said flatly,
By the way, my good son, Leonard Hunter had passed through the stages of the selection process before finally being named the Dragon Envoy of Carlton. He's only one step away from the Dragon Envoy of Newland.
All of a sudden, everyone's minds turned blank. Their faces changed dramatically and their pupils shrank. They looked at Orion Slade in disbelief, and their bodies began to tremble unconsciously. They all knew what the Dragon Envoy of Newland meant. It was the four most powerful men of the Dragon Envoy of Carlton. Leonard Hunter was so powerful that he was second only to the Dragon Envoy of Newland. At this time, Gavin Owens and the other two were in a state of utter despair. They had nursed a glimmer of hope before the news had been brought back. They had entertained the possibility that Zane Martell might have become the Dragon Envoy of Carlton. If he had, at least the current situation would not be too bad. It would not be much different from before. But now, Leonard Hunter was second only to the Dragon Envoy of Newland. The situation was completely different now. The Dragon Envoy of Newland was not something that an ordinary Dragon Envoy of Carlton could be compared to. Zane Martell's status would not be as high as the others, even if he became the Dragon Envoy of Carlton. Unless Zane Martell himself was the Dragon Envoy of Newland. But was that possible? They all believed in Zane Martell's talent, but this possibility was too illusory to entertain. Report. Behind the pseudo-royal family, a soldier trotted over and knelt down in front of Orion Slade and the others, his face filled with excitement.
Sect leader, the people from the Sky Kingdom and the elders of the Carlton Palace in the Zora Mountains are flying in this direction.
What? Are you certain? Sounds to me like they're here to congratulate my son for becoming the Dragon Envoy of Carlton. Holy heavens. I'm going to be swamped with greetings and congratulations.
Orion Slade's eyes lit up as he spoke, his joy unmistakable.
Hurry up. Let it be known that a banquet is in order. Let's go to receive the elders.
Orion Slade's eyes lit up as he said with joy. However, on the contrary, the faces of Gavin Owens and others were darker than ever. Even an empire as eminent as the Star Kingdom and the elders of the Carlton Palace was here. It seemed that the news was reliable.
It's over. It's completely over this time around.
Why didn't the heavens help our northern demon country?
The crowd shook their heads and sighed. Dozens of lights streaked across the sky like shooting stars and stopped above both sides. The escaping lights slowly dissipated, revealing dozens of people inside. The leader was wearing the uniform of the Carlton Palace. It was Leo King, who was leading the team for Zane Martell and the others. The others, also wearing the uniform of the Carlton Palace, appeared to be the elders of the palace in the Zora Mountains. Beside them were some young men and middle-aged men in purple golden dragon robes who exuded a graceful and luxurious aura. Each of them was in the expert level. From the looks of it, they should be part of the Star Kingdom.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Leonard Hunter's father, Orion Slade. I have been expecting you. Greetings, elders.
Orion Slade, together with the group of people behind him, quickly saluted with cupped fists. Although Leonard Hunter had become the Dragon Envoy of Carlton, they could look down on the entire Zora Mountains. it was still not appropriate for them to be too arrogant. Leo King's smile was slightly brighter. He nodded and said,
Orion Slade, let's dispense with the formalities. Please rise.
Leo King and the others flew down, landed in the middle of the two sides, and helped Orion Slade up. The dignified elders of the Carlton Palace were actually so deferential to Orion Slade.
Orion Slade, I suppose you've already received the news. You have a promising son who has become the Dragon Envoy of Carlton. I'm here to reward you on behalf of the Carlton Palace in the Zora Mountains.
At a clap of his hands, two young men emerged behind him. With a dazzling light coming from their hands, dozens of boxes of different sizes appeared. As they circulated their vital energy, the boxes opened to reveal a hearty amount of treasure and resources.
This is a martial-breaking pill. It's a martial-breaking pill, and there are so many of them.
A 5,000-year-old herb can increase one's life by 300 years.
And look at the crystals. They are piling up. We're rich.
The boxes were filled with orderly and uniform crystals, pills, spirit medicines, and all kinds of genuine energy artifacts. Even Orion Slade and others had never seen so many precious things, especially the martial-breaking pill that could increase the probability of breaking through the expert level. In this way, the strength of the demon god sect and the pseudo-royal family would be greatly increased. Orion Slade deliberately glanced at Gavin Owens. Nothing delighted him more than seeing their blanched faces.
Oh, elders, you didn't have to. It's the thought that counts. You must be very tired after such a long journey. Why don't you take a rest in Terran City first? I've arranged for a welcoming banquet for you.
Orion Slade made a gesture of invitation. However, Leo King shook his head with a smile and refused.
I'm afraid we have to take a rain check. We still have more important things to do.
Oh, more important? It's such a pity. Next time it is.
Orion Slade was a little disappointed, but there was nothing he could do. Under the lead of Leo King, the group of people took a few steps and stopped directly in front of Gavin Owens and others. Gavin Owens and the others thought that Leo King and the others wanted to pass by, so they quickly ordered people to make way for them. Their faces were clouded in an air of despondency and gloom.
Why the glum face? Why are you not rejoicing instead?
Gavin Owens was stunned before he quickly caught the meaning of it. Leo King must have misunderstood him and Orion Slade as people in the same camp and thought that they would also be sharing the joy of Leonard Hunter's accomplishment. But how could they bring themselves to do that? There was only one outcome waiting for them now that Leonard Hunter had become the Dragon Envoy of Carlton's.
Elder, you are really good at joking.
Gavin Owens shook his head helplessly and forced a smile. Leo King did not understand. Why were these people not celebrating the fact that Zane had become the Dragon Envoy of Newland? Could it be that they had a grudge against Zane Martell? But that couldn't be either, he thought. Before he came here, he had already found out that Zane Martell must be friends and relatives with them. At this time, a young and handsome man from the Star Kingdom bowed to Gavin Owens and the others and said very modestly,
I'm the 7th Prince of the Star Kingdom. I extend my congratulations to everyone present.
The crowd looked at each other in confusion. Even Orion Slade was baffled. Congratulations? What was there to congratulate? He thought. Congratulations to Zane for not becoming the Dragon Envoy of Carlton's? Well then, that was indeed worthy of congratulations. Seeing the miserly faces of Gavin Owens and the others, the 7th Prince soon came to his senses and blurted out,
Haven't you received any news yet?
Leo King's eyes lit up. He quickly stopped the 7th Prince and said in person,
Don't tell me you're still none the wiser to the news that Zane Martell has already become the Dragon Envoy of Carlton's.
Leo King would definitely announce such music to their ears news in person. The crowd was stunned and their minds instantly became blank. All of them widened their eyes. Then there was a burst of noise.
Zane Martell! Zane Martell has also become the Dragon Envoy of Carlton's.
Really? That's great. That's great.
Everyone was extremely excited, but soon as if they had thought of something, their spirits sank again. What was the use of an ordinary Dragon Envoy of Carlton's? In front of Leonard Hunter, he was still as powerless. It would be a different story if he was the Dragon Envoy of Newland. Orion Slade's face clouded over. At this moment, the corners of Leo King's mouth curled up. As expected, these people had not received any news yet.
Zane Martell is truly a one-of-a-kind genius. That said, of course, his aim wasn't trained on the Dragon Envoy of Carlton's. Don't you know that this time the Dragon Envoy of Newland is Zane Martell?
Gavin Owens was at a loss for words. Orion Slade was doubly so. Everyone was speechless. Everyone was stunned. Then someone reacted first, and an earth-shattering shot was heard.
What did you say? Did you just say that Zane Martell is the Dragon Envoy of Newland?
Are you for real?
The revelation hung in the air, leaving everyone in stunned silence, hearts pounding with a mix of disbelief and burgeoning hope.